I'm CK. Today we've got a kit from Pemenol. It's their Christmas tree practice kit, and I'm going to get this out in actually December instead of June when I did the last Christmas tree kit. We'll get one that's closer to the festive season, won't we? I've had good luck with Pemenol, and this kit looks like it may be a little more involved than previous Christmas tree kits, so I'm looking forward to that. We'll see what we can learn, see how fun it is to build, and I hope you enjoy the video. The box, I believe I picked this up from Amazon. I'll double check that when I post it. So, Christmas tree soldering projects, DIY Christmas tree soldering practice kit, 73 pieces. WS2112B, that's probably the chip that's controlling it. I'm not familiar with that part number. I'll look it up. RGB LEDs with six types of light effect music for Christmas decoration STEM education. Sounds like fun, doesn't it? So let's open the box up. Got a bag. And we'll get the box ready for recycling. And look inside the bag. Golly. Okay. Ooh. Bunch of, looks like surface mount LEDs. I didn't know it was surface mount, but that's cool. We love to do surface mount stuff. We have a power cord, so that's USB AB, so 4.5, 5 volts for power. We've got some bits and pieces there. We'll look at that in a second. We've got the instructions. We'll look at that in a second also. Let's pull out all the circuit board pieces. I'm going to tear this bag because it's gripping the circuit boards too much. There we go. Okay, what do we have here? We've got a base, and then this looks like tree stalk, trunk, whatever you call it in a tree. I'm no botanist. And then we've got, oh, this is going to be interesting because we're going to be soldering these sequentially up, and two things. One, as you can see, they're not very tight, so getting this to be actually level with all planes parallel is going to challenge my abilities. Then we'll do that one there. And I'm just setting these up. I forgot the one at the very bottom. So we'll stack all those up, and then we'll put a star at the top. And as you may be able to see, hopefully you can see, there are LEDs all the way along, and if you'll notice, they're 4-pin surface mount LEDs. That means they're multicolor. Then on the base itself, on the back, we've got switch for music. I think that actually looks like power. Oh no, power comes in here. Do you see 5 volts? Looks like we've got a transistor or a voltage regulator here. I'll have to look at that. Capacitor, switch, resistor, chip 1, and chip 2. This is probably a microcontroller to make the flashing work. Then beep, so it's got a little speaker. And U2, which is, I'm going to guess, is a music chip. Then another transistor, I believe. And then music, and I don't know quite what that means. Maybe that's the... I don't know what that means, so I'm not going to speculate. Let's dump the parts into a parts tray. And we've got speaker for beeping, power connector, a 104 probably, oh, a 105 cap. Looks like they're using 105s for decoupling caps. Yeah, using 105s for decoupling caps. A switch, push button. These are either again, the transistors are voltage regulators. Let me see if I can see what they are. I don't recognize that part number. I'll look it up. Then here we've got an STC BG1K17A, an STC that's very likely a microcontroller. And then this is, I'll look this up, I don't know the part number again, I believe that's the music chip. Then we've got some standoffs, which will be supports for the whole thing. So in terms of discrete components, we don't have a lot. What we have a lot of is, I think there's 70 some surface mount LEDs, so that's real good practice for hand surface mount soldering. Let's look at the diagram or instructions. Yep, so the STC is the controller and the KT148 is the music chip. And those two 117s were voltage regulators, 5-volt voltage regulators, which is interesting since we're putting 5 volts in. That's okay. I'm going to see if there's anything I don't see here. Nope, all looks good. And then it tells you how to use it. So we've got, that switch is music on off. Got the 1 watt speaker there. Music storage and music chip. The controller. And the switch for how the LEDs will flash. And on the back, okay, so we're gonna do the base with all the discrete components on it first, and the LEDs on the base, and then we'll do all the layers, and then put the star on the tippy top. So that will be fun. So again, it looks like a lot of surface mount soldering of these LEDs, but as you'll see, these are, because they're multicolor, they're large. It's not like, I'll find it somewhere. It's not like the little grains of rice surface mount LEDs we often see. So that is going to be a lot to do, and that's fun. I'll get the soldering iron heated up and give cats their treats, and then come back out to the workshop and we'll put this thing together. Now we'll get ready to do a bunch of soldering. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the LEDs out of their plastic holder here. I can find something to pull this open with so I'm not chasing them all around. I'm going to bet, based on my experience, that they gave us extras. We have more than we need in here, which is a-okay with me. Okay, there's all LEDs into their little parts bin, which is not really a parts bin per se. It's a stainless steel cat food bowl, but it works perfectly as a parts bowl or parts tray. Now I'm going to do 1 or 2 of these at normal speed live so you can see how it goes. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in pretty close. That about here, and I'm going to turn autofocus off so it doesn't creep around when my hand gets in. Next I've got tweezers. Where are my bent tweezers? There they are. I use tweezers that have about a 20 degree, 25 degree, 22 degree bend in them to hold in place surface mount parts. And I will be using this MG Chemical 0.025 diameter solder, the thinnest solder that I can comfortably handle. Now what I'm going to do is the way I do surface mount, and many people do it this way, I'm just saying that's what you'll see when I'm doing it. Here on L18, I'm going to put a little dab of solder on that pad, and then we're going to take one of the LEDs, and the key thing here is you'll notice on the printing there's a notch cut out in one corner, and if you notice on the LED there's a little notch on it also. So that's how you know you're placing it correctly. Wipe off the tip of my soldering iron. So I will pick up this LED, and I'm a little shaky because I played 3 hours of Elden Ring this morning. I'm going to reheat that solder ball I put on there and slide the LED onto it. And I didn't get it right. Do that again. There we go. Now that's in place, as you can see. Not going anywhere. It's a little further that way than I like, and again, just because I'm doing this as a demonstration, I'm going to pull it back off. I'm not getting a good grip on this. I got to get a better grip. There we go. I think that's a little better. Seems to be. Now with one side, and again it's not going anywhere, and with one side of the LED secured, I can do the other sides. Just kind of want to gloop it on there, because you can see the little silver contact about right there, and that's what you want to flow across to the soldering pad on the bottom. Double check that. We'll do the last one. And that looks good. So now that we've got that one on, I'll do it one more time, this time from a slightly different angle so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to put solder blob on that pad. Pick up an LED. Make sure we've got the notch going the correct way. And we do. And move it onto the melted solder. And there, that again is in place. That one's up a little bit. It's raised a little bit. So I'm just going to put my soldering iron on top of it gently. And there we go. That looks good. It's a little crooked. I'm not going to try for perfection on placing these. I'm going to just try for usefulness. If you're doing this, if you're planning to do this for a living, and you're practicing with this, I would recommend that you go back through and try and straighten them all out. So I'm going to do all of these LEDs, and I'm not going to keep the camera on for that because you've seen me do 2 of them, and just make the assumption that I'm going to do that a bunch more times. While we were off camera, I did all the LEDs because I just wanted to get them out of the way. And I think they're all good now. Again, as I mentioned, they gave us, as I thought, they gave us spares. They gave us 3 spares because LEDs are notorious for failing out of the box. And I've got all the angles right. I double checked that over and over again to make sure the orientation was right. The only thing I'm always concerned about with these particular LEDs is whether I actually made good contact on the LED, since the terminal on the LED is somewhat folded under the center of the piece. I'm never quite sure, and since these are all in series, connected in series, if one's not soldered correctly, others will not light up. So we'll see when we get this actually powered up. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the music chip on, and I'm going to zoom back in like before, and I'm also going to move this so I can get my preferred view. You'll see it right here at U2 is where we're going to be connecting that circuit. Now let me do some manual focus so it doesn't drift while I'm soldering. There we go. And the technique is just a little bit different, not much, but just a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is do what we did with the other thing I did. As I was doing so much close-up soldering, I said, oh my gosh, my old soldering tip, it's like 6 months old, is all corroded, so I put a new one on. I go through probably a soldering tip every 6 months, but that's because I do a lot of soldering. Yours probably will last a good while longer. So I just tinned that up. So same fundamentally as the LEDs, I'm going to put a dab of solder on that pad, and now I'm going to get my, where did I put my scissors? There they are. I mean scissors, tweezers. Now as you can notice here on, oh that's interesting, there's a notch and a dot, but I don't see a dot on the chip unless I have it upside down. No? Man, where's the dot? Oh, there it is. You got to angle it so the light is not directly on it. So same thing. This is actually a little bit easier than the LEDs simply because the leads are all exposed. And slide it around a little bit and see. And make sure you've got the leads aligned with the other pads. And that looks good. Oh, that looks, I perfectly placed that one. Very proud of myself on that one. Now next, again, a key thing, and this is just stylistic, and it's something you learn. I've done the lockdown pin on this side, meaning it's not going to go anywhere, but I don't want to do these leads first because I may contact the lockdown and it'll move. And why do I know that? Because I've done it and made swear words at myself. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use some Chip Quick resin to try and ensure that the solder is not going to bleed between the pins. So I'm going to pull this costs like 30 bucks for 2 ounces, and I've had this one for about 2 years and I barely scratched it. So it's a good investment, and I'm just going to glob it on here on these pins, take a little bit of the extra off. Get my solder, and what I like to do is I like to put my soldering iron between the pins. It seems to help me not get them shorted against each other, and as you can see, those all went together really well, and I'm going to credit the new soldering tip. Even though that's probably not it, but I'll give it the credit because I got nothing else to give the credit to. Now we'll do these. And again, soldering iron between the legs of the device. Oops, that one did bridge. Okay, I cleaned it up. And again, the flux being on the board helps them clean up really well. The flux keeps the solder just on the metal parts. And there you go. That was pretty simple, wasn't it? I'm double checking to make sure everything's down, and it is. And next we're going to do the voltage regulators. These are pretty straightforward. I think they're both the same. Yeah, they are both the same. I'm just double checking to make sure they actually shipped ones that are both the same. Yep, they're both 117s. So they go here, and this is a little simpler because I'm going to use this big pad here as my lockdown pad. And as you notice, there's lots of spacing between those pins too, so I'm not even going to have to use my chip quick on that. Just take that little guy, pick him up like that. Oops, and he squirts out. Annoyingly enough, sometimes you run into ICs like this that have bevels on the side of the chip, and that's really annoying because your tweezers slip right off it. This one does not. It was just bad management on my part. And again, we're just locking this down so it doesn't move and making sure the pins are lined up with the underlying pad, like so. And roughly the same thing, minus the chip quick. And all the surface mount soldering is done. Let me clean this up a little bit. Now I'm going to back up a little bit on this and go back to autofocus so when I move things around we don't get lost. So we're going to do our three capacitors, the 105s and the 104, and the 105s go side by side here. There are the decoupling caps for that music IC. Actually, I'm not going to. I wonder why they wanted me to do that first. I'm not going to do the. Oh, yeah, they wanted me to do the capacitors first, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the IC first because it's higher, stands up, because the capacitors are higher, and I want to do the lowest things first. So again, there's a notch in the socket. There's a notch printed on the circuit board. We just match those up. And as you can see, what I'm working on is tilted a little bit right now. And I don't really care because I'm going to do one pin on the socket. And as you may be able to see there, the socket is angled. It's not flat on the board. So I just pick up the thing, push a little, reheat the solder ball, push a little with my thumb, let it cool. And now it's all flat. Quick and easy. And I'm using up this thin solder. I normally wouldn't use, I'd use my 0.31, but since I have this handy, may as well use it up. Okay, that's in. Now we can go back and do the capacitors. I'm not going to solder these quite yet because it's only 3 components, and I'll just wait a minute or two. Now we're going to do the switches and the electrolytic, but we'll do the switch over here first. This is rectangular but not square, so it's easy to orient correctly. Now the music on-off switch is not as easy, so what I'm going to, or actually it doesn't lock in, so I'm going to put it through, and just like the socket, I'm going to set it down on the table. Now I do have to get another piece of solder. Where's a good piece of solder? That's too big. Let me grab some of my... So I'm doing the same thing here. I'm going to do one tab, and that actually looks pretty good, but I'll double check just 'cause. One tab, yeah, it's completely flat. Now I'll solder all the components we've put on recently. I won't trim the wires off, leads off quite yet, because I'm still putting stuff on. We'll put this electrolytic on, and electrolytics are polarized. The long lead is positive, short lead is negative, and on the circuit board there's a plus sign and a minus sign, so it's really easy. Oh wait, there's two of them. I didn't see two. Are they both the same? Oh yeah, they're both 22 microfarad. Good. Oh, and this little shaded half circle also tells you the orientation, because that will match with the gray stripe with the minus signs on it. So easy. This board makes it real easy to make sure you've got it right, and I certainly appreciate that, because unmarked or less well marked boards always give me trouble. And I forgot to put the resistor on while we were there. Now the resistors, of course, do not have any polarity or particular orientation. Now we're going to put the speaker on, or as they say, beep. It's coming right off the music IC, as you can tell. And I'm double checking the orientation. Oh, I was going to do a pinch and squeeze on the paper. No, that doesn't work there, buddy. Okay, so the positive lead goes closest to that capacitor at C3, so I'm going to put it through. May need another little bit of insulation taken off. Yeah, I'm going to take a little bit more insulation off. And these are solid core, so I don't have to worry about it cat whiskering out on me. Now, as you can see, the wire likes to flop around, so I'm going to use some locking tweezers to keep that wire in place while I solder it, so it doesn't pop out while I flip it over or when I put my soldering iron on it. Locking tweezers are a wonderful thing. They're inexpensive. Get some off Amazon or AliExpress or wherever you buy your tools. They will be very, very good for you. Now, it's got a little pull tab here for, there's an adhesive. Let me get this pull tab off, it's not coming off. There it is. There's adhesive here, so we're going to kind of stick it to the circuit board. Let's just say like so. That muffles it somewhat, but it definitely keeps it secure. And now, because we're going to start making, actually I'm not going to do that. Oh, we got to put the power connector on, for crying out loud. And the pins are offset enough that you can't, it would be very difficult to get it wrong. I always say very difficult instead of impossible, because I taught new recruits in the Air Force how to be airplane mechanics back in the 70s when I was in the Air Force, and I learned very quickly that people can definitely do something in a way that you thought was impossible and mess it up. So I never say impossible, I always say difficult. Okay, so there's the power connector, and the build guide author would like us to put the IC in place yet. Actually, I know why. Okay, we're going to put the IC in its socket now. Typically, I wouldn't do that, but part of why we're doing this is so as we make the stack of rings, we can test each one to make sure it's soldered correctly, and to do that, the IC has to be in. And as you can tell, there's a notch in the IC that matches the notch printed on the board, and the notch we matched with the socket, and there, that goes in easily enough. Now we're going to do the little legs. So we're going to put a screw through there, get our little brass standoffs, and I'm not going to use a screwdriver on those. They're under no particular stress, so I just finger tighten them down. Okay, now comes what will be, for me, based on my knowledge of myself, oops, my little bracket fell off. The hardest thing to do is to stack this so that everything is perpendicular to each other. I'm going to get some thicker solder, my .40 I think it is, 040, I forget the exact dimensionality on that one. Now, we're going to do what they say. We're going to put big globs of solder here, 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 and where's my, and we're going to do the same thing on the little star. Oops, there's a LED on the back. I didn't notice that. Huh. Well, there you go. So I got to do that LED. That would have been interesting had I missed that. I think I'm going to, cameras have been running for a while, so I think I'm going to turn the cameras off while I do this one and back on just to reset the timer on the cameras. So I put that LED on, and I also put solder on the contact points on all the layers of the stack. Now, the hard part, making sure we get this perpendicular. I'm going to put a little solder on these things too. Not all of them, just the bottom one, because we want to make sure we don't want to put them on the other ones, because then we may not be able to slide the things down. Now we've got an A right here and an A right there, and that's what we're going to be matching. And I'm just flowing it up. I'm going to check to make sure it's not perpendicular. Look at that. All leaning over sideways. So I'll reheat that solder. Stand it up. Is it straight now? Well, it's straight one way and it leaned the other way. This is what I say. This is why this is the most challenging part of kits like this. Well, that looks pretty good. That's as good as I'm going to get it. Now let me show you, because that was maybe kind of hard to see what I did there. So you can see I've got a glob of solder there, a glob of solder there, and I'm just going to use my soldering iron like a little spatula and connect them. See that? Very straightforward. Now I'm going to put globs. I'm going to do this all the way up the stack, but I'm going to, I think I can test this one right now. I'm going to go ahead and see if this will test right now. I've got the power cable plugged into my USB power supply on my desktop, and if I plug this in, it should... Okay, so as you can see, we're not perfect here. Some of the LEDs are not connected. So what I'm going to do is I got to take a look here and see where a gap might be. So these are either bad LEDs, this one's either bad or it's not connected, but it looks connected. But that's, I'm going to write this down. Yes, yes, bless your heart for making those songs. Let me get a piece of paper here. So I'm going to check L9 and L20 and L11. So I'll unplug this and check my connections at L9. Let's plug it back in again, see if that fixed it. And that fixed it, except now L9 is, oh no, L9 is still not working. The LED itself might be bad. I'm going to turn the music off. Hush. What should I do about that? Should I try and replace it? You know, I'm going to leave that on there. It's dead, but I'm not going to fix it right now. So we'll just go ahead and move on up the stack. I'm going to do a similar thing to what we did before. First I'm going to put a solder spot. I know you can't see it, but you know what I'm doing. Putting a solder dab on the pads. And now we'll get the next biggest. And again, we're still making sure A goes on the A side, or else we won't be getting the right there. Now see, that is, yeah, I shouldn't have done that, should I? Because it is too thick with the solder bumps on there, and I knew that. I had even mentioned it. But I thought there might be solder. I thought it might slide by, but it didn't. So I'm just smoothing it out a little bit with my soldering iron. And there we go. Now we've got it there. And what I'm going to do is basically the same thing, but I'm only going to do one pad at first. Let it cool. I'm going to take a look, and that looks pretty perpendicular. I'm going to live with that. Now, once again, we'll test to see if all the LEDs are working. Okay, so we've got some issues here too. So let's start at L24. Let me cross these out. L24 and potentially L38. L38. Oh, well that's why I didn't solder those pads. That silly person. Me. Much better when you actually solder them, isn't it? I can cross those off. We still got L38 and L36. L38, L36. Let me see if I can see anything. L36 looks... L38. I'll just reheat the solder. Now we'll see if that fixed it all up. And it did. So that whole rank is good. And I'm going to do this a number more times. And not much more to say about that. So I'm going to turn the cameras off and finish that up. And I'll be back after I've got the stack stacked. And there's the stack. I got it as perpendicular as I'm capable of doing. I don't have the star on top yet, but let's see. We'll plug it in, and I checked along the way. And as you can see, except for L9 down here, a couple of places I had to touch up the solder a little bit, but in general, all the, I'm sorry, not in general, all the LEDs are on except for L9. Now, we're gonna, where do we do this? How do we set this up? So on here we've got a V and a G, and here we've got a G on one side. What the hey? I don't get it. Oh, I see. Am I thinking wrong? I'm thinking wrong. Yep. It goes this way. I was trying to melt it on like that. You're not going to do that. You're going to do it this way, crosswise. And the V is on the side that has the V. The G is on the side that has the G. Pretty straightforward. So let's do a similar thing to what we've done before. And just run that solder over there. Make sure it's straight up. It's pretty much straight up and down. So we'll do the other solder points. And that's all good. Now we'll see if the star lights up. And one side does, and the other side does. Okay, so there we are. We've got our happy little LED Christmas tree with one LED out, but what's a Christmas tree without one of the light bulbs burn out, right? Again, I may change this out at the end of this section, and I'll leave that in the footage, and you can look at it if you want. And we'll turn the sound back on. That sounds all happy. Now we can press this button on the bottom and it changes the color patterns. Oh, that makes a nice little run up the tree. Isn't that cool? I'm going to turn this light off so maybe you can see this a little better. See that red light, red LED chasing itself up? Let's try another one. Oh, that's blue chasing itself up. Now we'll do all yellow twinkly, cascade type thing, climb the tree. Another pattern, another sparkly pattern. Another sparkly. Then back to what we just flashing around a little bit, kind of randomly. And we've got the red LED climbing again. So as you can see, it's a pretty nice little kit. And we can, fortunately, turn the sound off. So you can just have it on your bedside table. You can have it on a little stand in your living room or whatever. Just double checking. I'm looking from the side camera. Yeah, it looks good. Why? Except now the focus is drifting. Don't drift, focus. Why do you keep drifting? I just re-aimed it. There we go. So that's it. Another nice one from Pemenol. A good little kit. Now, so that's it. And I hope you enjoyed the video. So that's the end. I'm going to go back here, and now for a little bonus content, I'm going to try and see if I can pull this LED off and fix it up. So if you want to stick around and watch that, you can, but I'm not guaranteeing success on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get another, I'm actually going to use a pair of needle nose on this. And I'm going to grip it. Actually, first thing, before I even do that, I'm going to reheat the solder pads again. Maybe put a little more solder on this one. Before I go pulling stuff off, I want to test that one more time. Oh, and it came on. Okay, so it was just not enough solder on the one place. So, there you go. That is it. Not much bonus content because it just all worked. And, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video.